Greetings, Goddess Body Mind Spirit community. This is Tyrone Milade, your goddess guru, your sister friend, and you know I love helping women align with their life purpose using the power of ancient wisdom and the goddess centered lifestyle. Today, I want to make a video about something that I have thought to be very important for us to focus on, and that is I'm going to start off by calling it the Pluto Return for the United States. I've talked about it before. Um, and it's becoming more and more apparent to me how this is shaking down for us. Because it's been a lot of unrest ever since 2020. And well, maybe even prior to that, now that I think about it, um, with the election of Donald Trump. I believe that that was, and from here on out, I'll probably call him Trump just because that's what I typically call him. So if you hear me say Trump, that's what I'm talking about. Um, but ever since the election of Trump, I think that that was like the beginning of the Pluto return. So I do want to start off by saying, number one, if you don't want to hear anything about politics, this is not the video for you. I don't really talk about politics. This is my take. Number two, this is my take on what's going on in the world because because of the election of Donald Trump and the lack of hearing people in the spiritual community talk about the seriousness of that election, I got very despondent, but that's actually what led me to astrology. And so I have decided that I'm going to do for those who need it what I wanted done for me that wasn't done for me back then. So that's part of the reason I'm doing it. Some of y'all actually want to know from somebody who's spiritual what the heck is going on. Three, I am biased in the sense that I am definitely voting for Joe Biden, Kamala Harris. Um, I see it as a vote for democracy, but I'm letting you know my bias right here, right now. Four, I am doing my best to tell you what the astrology says because where pollsters as well as astrologers messed up last time is they were biased. And, they couldn't see, and it was from both directions, it was just on all sides. And so I'm just letting y'all know, I'm going to do my best to let y'all know what I see and what I think it means for us, okay? So with that, press stop if you don't wanna hear this. Move on to a new recording, video, podcast, wherever you're listening to this. So, what my position is, we are not done with the Pluto return. This is the chart from, if you're watching the video, this is the chart from the day of the election. And Pluto is at 29 degrees of Capricorn. Thankfully, on that day, Pluto is direct, it's not retrograde. And I say thankfully because I want Joe Biden to win because I believe that this um, Pluto return for us is about, are we choosing the old way or are we choosing the new way? And so if Pluto was retrograde on that day, I would feel more nervous. I wish that Pluto was going to be in Aquarius, but one thing that I'm learning about the the Pluto return for a country is not comfortable and it's not meant to be comfortable because in order to get the country to go in a new direction, you have to get uncomfortable. And so and the other thing that I am recognizing is that the Pluto return is about which huge part of the collective is going to actually rise up and say, we are taking this country in a new direction. It happens about every 240, some between 247, 249, something like that years with the Pluto return. It's a very long process. Um, and so every country is going to get it. Every country will get a Pluto return. And so the question is which group is going to have the biggest group that's voting? My position is this. When the United States was started, um, there were those who had say so in what the direction that the country would go in, what the country was about. We always hear about the framing fathers. So they are the ones that got the say so. We know, hopefully most of us have studied what I call real history, and have learned this is what happened. This is how this country got set up. These are the things that were there. Many of us are descendants of people who, were a part of how this country initially was set up. And we have been playing out a lot of things that our ancestors didn't have a say so in. And so my position about the Pluto return for the United States is the rebirth of a nation. And so my question to you is, are you going to vote for the direction that the country is going in? Yesterday I was on my walk and I was thinking to myself, the farce of this country is individualism. The farce of this country is pull yourself up by your bootstraps. It's all about you. When in all actuality, that is not the way it is to be human. But there is no denying that United States people, Americans, we're very different in some regards than people from other countries. We can be looked at as self-centered. We have, whether we believe it or not, we carry ourselves in a way where it's like, I'm free. You're not going to tell me what to do. You can't impose anything on me. I live here in Tennessee and I see the ridiculous. And if you have this, no judgment, but I think it's ridiculous. Don't tread on me. Um, License plate and flags and all that kind of crap down here. Um, and it's kind of like, this is how we are. It doesn't matter ethnicity, nothing. There's something about us that exudes confidence. There's something about us that exudes um, a, a little bit of self-centeredness. And I feel like that's a lot of what I'm hearing. The other thing that I will say is right now, because we have um, a placement in the chart, I'm going to try to not use too much astrology terminology. Because we have a certain placement happening in the chart or in astrology right now, we don't know fact from fiction. We don't know what's true and what's not true. And it's been like that for a while because of the internet. The internet has given us access to so much information that if people don't vet it, it's something that I started learning years ago. You have to vet everything you hear. You have to check, triple check, quadruple check, check as much as you can, get as many different viewpoints about what's going on for you to figure out what's actually happening. But it's we have Jupiter and Gemini. It creates like this energy of gossip. And Gemini is a sign that's known not because Geminis are bad people, don't take it this way. But Gemini is a sign that's known for not necessarily caring much about the truth. Gemini can be a sign that is related to people lying. We also have Saturn in Pisces, which is another sign. I'm a Pisces, so it's nothing against Pisces. Pisces is a sign that is related to lying. It's just the truth is always blurred. So we have all this blurry truth going on, and so, who knows who's really doing what? I don't know. I said that the media was going to come under scrutiny when Jupiter moved into Gemini, and that's exactly what is happening right now. The media is very, very powerful, and it is controlling the way that we think about things. I have fallen, for these kinds of things too. All of us have been. We are all influenced in some kind of way, but definitely something going on with the media. So it's kind of like difficult to really understand fact from fiction. And 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 I really do believe that people think that they're making the best choices based on the information that they have been given, but we live in America and everyone is just they just get to decide what they want, what they think is best for them. And I just think that this individualism of America is just in full, like we can see it so well now. with all the discussions. But the reason I say it's hard to say what's fact from fiction is because we do have election interference. This is a real thing. People have bots. There are trolls. There's a lot of people out there trolling. And so I can't really say I know fully what's going on. I know what's going on with the people around me, but I just think that people are trying to sway. There's a lot going on to sway the narrative. So the other thing too is we have a history of racism and sexism and oppression. Capitalism is, like a horrible system the way that we're using it because it's like make money no matter what. The people at Amazon could be having to pee in bottles. We don't care. Let's make this money, honey, right? It's just so many things. Y'all could name other things. The government, there's some governments that I think do a better job here in the United States of taking care of the citizenry, which is what the government is about. And then there's some governments that don't care. The people in their states, they don't care, right? Um, but at the end of the day, because we are a part of a democracy, the piece of the democracy that we have, because we are a part of this very imperfect country, I think that let me just go back. I think that what we're seeing is all of our stuff is flared up, and that is represented in Trump, the MAGA, and these people just represent that energy that's been in this country since day one. I really do see, and we can correct it because I was looking at our chart today. This is the chart of the United States. I was looking at it today, and I'm like, we got Jupiter and Venus in Cancer, along with the Sun and Mercury. I mean, Cancer is a lovely energy. Those planets being there, that's lovely. So what in the world is going on that we can this country can be such a bully, right? Just arrogance. So, what I think is all of that energy that is just oppressive and just does all the things that I think are crimes against humanity, um, that energy is represented in MAGA and Trump and that movement. And thank you to Raji. I just want to say I honor Black women for what they do. Taraji, I've been hearing about Project 2025, and I'm so happy she took that moment on the BET Awards to say, y'all need to look up Project 2025 because now more people are talking about it to the point where Trump has actually distanced himself from it. But Project 2025, that represents the old USA. I'm not saying the Democrats are perfect, but they definitely aren't representing Project 2025. If you haven't heard it, you need to or read about it, you need to look it up. And it's so bad, Trump is distancing himself from it, although his people are fully a part of it. And I'm telling you, he will do it because he wanted to do it before. But our government still had people in it who, even if they were willing to work with Trump, they don't want to be dictators, right? And then we got the Democrats over here who have been saying, hey, we need to restore Roe v. Wade. We need to keep it so that people can vote and make voting easier. And I don't know about you, but my student loans got forgiven. They should have been. It was in my promissory note. The United States government hadn't done its part. I'm sorry if I'm not looking at the camera. I forget. Some days I'm on the camera, and yeah, I forget to look at the camera. Anywho, my student loan, along with my younger brother, I know many, many people who got relieved of tens of thousands of debt, and it was in our promissory note anyway. So the government just did right by us. But anywho, that's happening. And my position about the Democrats, especially the Biden Harris administration, is that swearing in happened when the moon was void. I was like, oh my God. I really need to talk to them about astrology. I mean, all they needed to do was wait another 30 minutes, I think it was. And to me, that's why it seems like people are saying part of what they're saying is we don't see any difference, which I just can't believe that. I cannot believe people can't see a difference between the two administrations. Is Has Biden been perfect? Heck to the no. But in my mind, voting that way represents going in the new direction. Even though Biden is old, he still represents the new direction, which is Pluto in Aquarius. Aquarius is about advancement, it's about progress. And so, in my mind, when I first was looking at a lot of the astrology of what's happening right now, I was like, okay, I feel like I'm at peace because I know Pluto has already been in Aquarius twice, even though it has to go back into um, Capricorn. It goes back into Capricorn in September and it'll be there until December. And thank the goddess, it is direct on the day of the election. Um, so my position is this: do you want to have a say so? If you do, you really need to vote. You need to vote for the candidate. And in my mind, a third party candidate is somebody who I hope we have in the future. I've always, not always, because I've only really been super political since maybe 2012. Um, but since I started learning more about politics and becoming more aware of what's actually going on for myself, I have thought this two-party system is not working. And so I do want third-party candidates. I want good third-party candidates because some of the third-party candidates are ridiculous. They're not, I mean, they represent something that's really, really good, and we need to let more people in who are who who want progress in a different way and have a different way of governing that's and I do believe it's gonna happen because the MAGA Republicans have broken that party. That's another reason I'm like, y'all, just because we've only known this doesn't mean this is the way it's gonna stay, and we were born at this time to be a part of what's happening. And so we've had times when there were different political parties that don't exist now. And so now the same thing is happening. This is what we're watching. Do you want to have a say so in it? And honestly, doesn't matter if you vote for Biden, Trump, third party candidate, don't vote, you're voting. And but I believe because we do have a lot going on with the restructuring of the country. Pluto in Capricorn is about the government. It's like, where do we want the government to go? Pluto is about transformation and it will destroy a thing and then something gets rebirthed, which is a little bit where I have my faith. And it's like, okay, we're going to be reborn. We're going to be reborn in the new way. Pluto in Aquarius, which will have its own struggles and problems. Don't get me wrong. It's not going to be perfect. There's going to be a lot to do. And once democracy is saved, as I see it. But I think that your vote should be in the collective coming together and just saying, we are voting for democracy. That's just how I see it. You can disagree with me. I'm not asking you to buy 100% into what I'm saying. You can sit with it, you can toss it out the window. But I do want to just bring this up for you, for those who are on the video. French Revolution, study it. It is one of the examples that I use for Pluto return. The French Revolution happened at that country's Pluto return. I'm very proud of the French people because when that Prime Minister Marie Le Pen, was elected, it was right around the same time as Trump being elected, as well as the UK going to the right. I was like, what the hell is going on? And I am so proud of the French people for voting her butt out. And it's the left that has voted her in. Um, I mean, voted in. The left has won their candidate. I don't even know who the candidate is, but the left has won. That gave me hope for us. Something else I want you to study is the fall of Stalinism. That happened um, with that country's Pluto return. Okay, with Russia's Pluto return, or Soviet Union at the time. So you can see that dictatorship got dissolved, and that is part of my hope for us. For me, where I struggle with what I see in the United States is this individualism and just this lack of our education system. Project 2025. Let me just say this really quickly. I knew I had to make this video when I heard that the person who is like the talking head, one of the crafters of Project 2025, said this is the second American Revolution and it'll be bloodless if the left acts right. That's when I was like, I got to get on and make this video because they get what's going on. They understand. They are fighting tooth and nail, and we already know based on January the 6th that these people are willing to draw blood. And the decisions of the Supreme Court, this right-wing Supreme Court, people willing to just put their whole lives and livelihoods and reputations on the line to for Donald Trump. Like this, I'm like, this really does represent something bigger, but they're all in and they are working together. Even if they kind of sort of don't like one another. Trump really isn't like the people that follow him, but he doesn't care. He's got them on board and they're willing to go all in. Their whole lives, it's a cult. Their whole lives are devoted to this dear leader. And I believe honestly that the people in the United States, with all the concerns that I have, which is the reason I brought up Project 2025 is it wants to do away with Department of Education. Lord, we don't need that. We already got enough issues with people not getting real history, true education that can help them to be free thinkers and um, to be analytical thinkers. We don't need the dissolution of the Department of Education. Um, but anywho, what gives me hope is it's like two sides of one coin, of the same coin. We are so individualistic that for people to start trying to impose on our freedoms, I think that a lot of us would be like, I may not like Biden. Biden's doing some stuff that I don't care for, but at least I'll be free. At least I'll be free. So yeah, I'm kind of happy that I'm talking about this. So anywho, I want y'all to just study Pluto returns of countries that have made it to their Pluto return, and you can see that we are in the throes of it. I don't have a lot of predictions of what's going to happen just because to a certain degree I get stressed and um I'm biased. I want Biden Harris democracy. To me, I personally like Biden and Harris. I'm not saying they're perfect, but personally, I think that Biden has done he's an FDR, whether people want to receive it or not, and FDR was not perfect. His wife was really the drive behind him being this beloved president. Let's be clear. FDR was going to go down a path where he wasn't taking care of nobody, but it was his wife, Eleanor Roosevelt, who was like, what you going to do is this. Um, there's no perfect president, but I can't make predictions because I am biased. I like them personally. Um, and I really want them to win. But for me, it's more of like I want to keep this country a democracy. And I call it the piece of the democracy that we have because as a Black woman, I know there's so much oppression still in this country. But when I travel to other countries, I largely think about Dominican Republic and Mexico. I will take the United States. I think a lot of people, if you go visit other places, yes, there's good things about it. There was something about Mexico and DR I loved, but there was a lot of people that I was like, dang, these people are barely surviving. And it didn't look like there was much government assistance. It was it's one of the reasons I almost kind of feel like I can't live in places like that because I'm such a bleeding heart. I have just love people so much, and it hurts me to see people hurting. I probably wouldn't have any money. I give away all my money. um, but I just think that if people traveled more and saw how other governments don't take care of their people and how other people don't really have a say so in their government, that it would bring a deeper appreciation for what we do have that works in the United States. And, we can continue to do the work that we need to do. I believe that we're going to make progress. Um, and yeah, I want to believe we're going to make progress because we're all voting for democracy. Um, but I do believe it will be a nail biter. It will be a fight to the end. I believe, and one of the reasons I'm doing this is because in a revolution, being quiet doesn't work. And being liked isn't anything that really matters. So I'm doing this because this is my way of um, raising up awareness using spirituality, astrology, and I've just believe we need to speak up. And so here lately, I've just been making more and more posts on my social media about Project 2025. I do my best not to tell people how to vote because people don't like that because we're so, me centered in the United States of America. But at least educate people on what the stakes are. And I hope that this video has given you a little bit of an insight as to why things look the way that they look. And we as conscious women can make a difference. And you have to do it in your way. I'm gonna be making political posts. That's just who I am. I'm not afraid of it because I understand the stakes. I understand the spiritual blueprint that we're sitting in. Um, so you have to figure out your way. Maybe some people want to do more one-to-one communication. Maybe some people actually want to get out and go poll and not poll, but go and go door to door, knock on the door, work with the candidates. I donate to candidates all the time who stand for progress and people having the right to be who they are, you know, um, who want us. I would prefer to have a national health service like the UK, even though I've heard it's not doing so well under the right wing people over there. Congratulations to the UK. They went left, gave me hope because all at the same time they were all swinging right. So I'm like, please, United States, go left, United States, which we already left, but we need to go left some more. We need to do this again. And maybe we led them now that I think about it. The polls, I don't know if I want to say anything about the polls. Um, I will say this. This is a little bit more of like what has been happening. So, and this is the fact from fiction thing too. In 2022, um, the Republicans kept saying um, it's going to be a red wave. And the news was running with it. The media is right wing, in my opinion. People think it's just Fox, but for Donald Trump has created such a boom. They don't even know what they're going to do without this man. I'm like, how about let's do real journalism again? But it's all corporatized. The mainstream media is corporatized. So it's about making money, and that's one of the reasons that they are just like, hey, we need more DJT because they're doing well. They're gonna keep doing well. Whether he wins or Biden wins, they're gonna make their money, right? So they don't care if the rest of us are suffering under a dictator, which would be Trump, because he said he wants to be dictator on day one, and I believe him. Anywho, so they just run with it. And I started listening to Touch Network, and they brought this man on who had worked with Obama. And this man is just really good with calling elections. And he came on and he was saying, no, it's going to be, I don't think it's going to be a red wave. And sure enough, it wasn't. And I was like, okay, cool. So I started listening to them. And that's when it just, ever since Roe v. Wade was overturned, the people have been swinging more to the left. And I'm I don't, it's not for me about the left. It's about what we are standing for over here right now, which is women should have bodily autonomy. And and I'm talking about locally, or, domestic issues, because these are the ones that affect us the most. Um the right is willing to starve children in the summer. Like a lot of the right right, the Republican governors in the United States didn't receive money from the federal government that would allow children to have lunch and have meals during the summer. What is that? Hold on one sec. Oh my gosh. Is that my husband? I'm having, hold on one second. There we go. Yeah, that was my husband. I was like, "What is that noise?" Okay, so, I'm gonna wrap this up because I told myself I was not gonna be on here long. So essentially what I was just saying is that the pollsters keep the media, all of this is so difficult to separate fact from fiction, because ever since Roe v. Wade has, passed, the Democrats have overperformed, which lets me know our Our citizens are more futuristic, making progress. We like what we have, and that gives me hope for those who get stressed out about the polls and all of that. Democrats have overperformed ever since Roe v. Wade. Um, and so, yeah, just want to speak on that. So, thank y'all so much for taking the time to listen to what I have to share. And the last little bit that I'll say is, here lately, I have been doing a lot of Ho'oponopono, if you know that. It's all about, just really and truly surrendering and trust. For me, I call the divine, the great mother, trusting the great mother, trusting the divine. And I do have a high belief in people in the United States. I actually do. As much as I struggle with a certain group of them, the rest of us, I really have a lot of belief in us. But definitely been saying my prayers and, keeping in mind the 7 generations who come behind us, as the Native Americans have taught us, what is it that we are doing today that will benefit 7 generations behind us? And, yeah, just really deepening my spiritual practices and my faith in, what I see in the astrology, and just my faith in the great mother. Also, the other thing I tell myself is, what would my ancestors want me to do? I'm picking up a part of their legacy. And so it's part of how I operate. I always think about my ancestors and the sacrifices that they made. And, I remind myself every group is going to have something that they have to fight for. And so this is my part of my ancestral legacy, and my goal is to make my ancestors as proud, which is why I'm willing to take time and make a video. I don't know where any of y'all stand. Um, Make a video that might make some people say, I don't want to work with Tyra, or, I don't like this. I don't care. Because my thing is this: if my side wins, you're going to be fine. You're going to be real good. And you'll keep being able to protest anything that, you don't like about the government. So, I really do believe that, that's important for us also, is to understand we are part of an ancestral legacy, And it's some big things that we're being asked to do. I love you all. I'm holding you in my heart. May the blessings of the great mother and Yemoja, the ancestors be upon you now and always. Be upon you and yours now and always. And Goddess bless the USSR.